Today we're going to talk about the books I am most looking forward to coming out in September. It's really funny doing these videos and filming just like 1 month ahead of where we actually are so I can talk to you about the books. Every month I kind of have a moment of jolting at where we actually are in the year currently, because I'm like, why are we talking about September? That's crazy. But we are coming up for September. This set of books is interesting because there are quite a few here, more than I had last month, but by and large there's a lot of books here where my thought is something along the lines of, I have my doubts, I am cautiously optimistic, there is something in this book that maybe doesn't quite sit right with me, but I am interested, rather than being completely, fully super excited. There's a lot of books that I'm intrigued by, but might have to overcome something to win me over. So it's going to be interesting to see which ones I do pick up, which ones I end up enjoying. So definitely let me know what you think of the books, whether you'd be interested in any of them in the comments, so I can see what your thoughts are. There's quite a lot of sequels here, and this first one is no different. This is one I think you'll definitely have heard of. We are looking at The Knave and the Moon by Rachel Gillig, which is the sequel to The Night and the Moth. This kicks us right off with that books which I have my doubts on, because I did really enjoy The Night and the Moth. I came out of that book somewhere in a 4, I think. I'd need to rewatch my vlog, but I did really enjoy it. However, for a book that is largely pitched as romantasy in the purest sense, I was not at all sold on the romance. I loved the mystery of it. I adored the mystery. I was hooked by the mystery. The romance was there. So, knowing that it's pitched as romantasy, a little bit on the fence, but also a lot of that mystery was resolved in the finale of the first book. So maybe what will be left for me is my question. I don't know that without that mystery there's enough to pull me through a sequel, but I did really enjoy the first book, so I'm gonna give the sequel a try. Pilsen Cathedral is in ruins. Roderick Mandasius, Bartholomew and Maud Bower are rumoured to be dead, and the king has taken Sybil Delling as his bride. To show off their union and solidify his power over Trom, Benji proposes a series of tournaments throughout the hamlets. Captive and drugged, Sybil remains determined to vanquish him as she once did the Omens, even if she destroys the kingdom's faith and herself in the process. So for me, tournaments generally seem to happen in either the first or the middle, if it's a trilogy. It seems out of pace with most series I've read to have a duology where the tournament aspect happens in the second book. I feel like usually you have any kind of tournament in the first book and then the kind of bigger plot in the second, whereas this almost seems to flip that, so I'm interested. I'm not convinced, but I'm interested. That is on September 1st. Also on September 1st, we have The Siren's Kiss by Leslie Vedder. This is a new book from the author of the Bone Spindle trilogy, which I loved. I talked about it, I think, relatively recently in a Sapphic recommendations video. In that one, we are doing a bit of a twist on the Sleeping Beauty story, mixing it with a bit of Indiana Jones, and our two protagonists are like a best buddy duo. One of them has a romance with a man, one of them has a romance with a woman, so there's a sapphic relationship in the side, but the main relationship we are looking at is that ride or die friendship, and I loved it. The trilogy is so fast paced, there's so much happening. I'm very excited to see what Leslie Vedder's going to do next, especially with pirates, which there's my issue actually. Pirates are always hit and miss for me. I love pirate visual media. I used to love Pirates of the Caribbean. I'm a huge Our Flag Means Death fan. I really like pirates just as a concept. I've dressed up as a pirate for different Halloweens before, but somehow in books, pirates, books set at sea, I tend to just find them middling, and I honestly have no idea why. It's the same issue I have with superheroes. So I'm hoping for the best here. I trust Leslie Vedder to write something really fun. I'm just not entirely sure it's gonna click for me personally. Pirates of the Caribbean meets The Little Mermaid in this swashbuckling sapphic fantasy. 3 years ago, Deadshot Raleigh laid hands on the legendary ruby, the Siren's Kiss, and suffered the wrath of the sea god, Red-Handed Roger. Now bound as captain of his cursed ship, the Revenant, 18-year-old Raleigh hatches a plan to win her freedom. Everyone knows that Red-Handed Roger's heart was stolen by the Sea Witch. If she can get it back, she can barter her release. But Raleigh isn't the only one with a score to settle. Fiery mermaid Maren lost her brother to the Sea Witch, and she's come to the surface to get him back and save the last remaining mermaids at all costs. When Maren runs afoul of the infuriatingly cursed pilot Raleigh, sparks fly and all her plans go up in flames. Now the only chance they have is each other. Swashbuckling, sea monsters, pirate kings, siren songs, and stolen hearts. Red-Handed Roger and the Sea Witch were once friends, before they fell for the same mermaid and almost destroyed the world. Will Raleigh and Maren's love set things right, or just finish what the old gods started? On September 8th, Hannah Kaner has a new book out. This one is A Snake Amongst Swans, and honestly the cover is doing an awful lot of the heavy lifting here. It is stunning. I have read Godkiller. I didn't get the hype. I think I rated it like a 3, if that. But the cover. But also, I do like the blurb. This says, an intricate tale of warring kingdoms, female rage, and a wild magic that refuses to be tamed. And that sounds really fun. So I'm hoping that maybe this one will work for me in a way that Godkiller didn't, and I can finally get on that hype train along with everyone else that absolutely loved that duology. Tilda has always heard the whispers of the Kithwood, the voices of her ancestors speaking through the mysterious forest of her homeland. But now both the Kithwood and her kingdom are in danger. For Tilda is the only surviving heir to a conquered land. To unite the people and finally stop the bloodshed, she marries the ageing warlord King Lirin. Her duty is to bind their nations and bear him a son. But the Swan King's court is dangerous. Tilda is a threat to the claim of Lirin's older sons, who will do whatever it takes to remove her, to Princess Elise, who has only ever known loyalty to her family, and to the priests who own them all. Yet none of them know that Tilda is a snake in their midst. With allies on her side and dark forbidden power of her own, she wants her kingdom back, and she will sacrifice everything to claim it. For the Queen to rise, the swans must fall. Strange is the Light by Sarah Marie Griffin is another one coming out on the 8th. This one maybe usually wouldn't be my thing, and I have read a book from the author in the past. I read Eat the Ones You Love. I loved the concept. I loved the setting, which was a kind of in its dying breath small, but the book itself just didn't work for me. However, this sounds a little bit like a rework of Jumanji, and I would definitely be down for that. Strange as the Light follows a passionately entangled group of childhood friends fractured by the betrayals and secrets kept as they grew into adulthood. Now, after 20 years, Daphne, Ronan, Leonie and Finn will finally have to face the consequences of cutting their last adventures short, having accidentally opened a rift into a dangerous alternate dimension while playing a mysterious RPG version of their childhood game. Daphne never took her final turn, and there is a debt that must be paid. Jumping to the middle of the month, on the 15th, we have Bodies of Magic by Freya Marske. I've loved Freya Marske's books in the past. The Last Binding trilogy is one of my absolute favourite romanticises. I love that world she created. I loved each of the 3 relationships she built. My issue with this one, because there is one, my issue with this one is that me and dark academia don't get on. I've pretty much at this point sworn off it as a rule, but for Freya Marske I will make an exception. At the Academy of the Grand Duchy of Sior, every mage with the healer's gift has 5 years to master their power and to prepare for the infamous Grand Exam, a 5-day trial whose results will determine their entire future. The list of exam rules includes: you will perform 5 practical classes, your exam group is chosen at random, you pass together or fail together. It does not include: on the first day, your exam group will find a classmate's dead body in the exam hall. And as they will soon discover, this particular group all have something to hide, and all have a connection with the dead girl, a brilliant scholar who would have been the first in their class. 5 scholars, 5 secrets, 5 days in which to solve a murder, pass the most important exam of their lives, and uncover a secret larger than all of their own combined. One with the potential to change the world. So, murder mystery aspect, definitely my thing. I'm hoping that that's enough to counteract the school setting that just tends not to work for me. On the 22nd, we have Murder at the Grand Alpine Hotel by Lucy Foley. This is a continuation, I guess, and inspired by an official sequel to Agatha Christie's Miss Marple series. It's just written by a new author, but approved by the Christie estate. So it is officially part of the series. I have read books like this before. I read one that was a official continuation of Poirot. I think it was like the Monogram Murders, maybe? And I did not like it. I did not like it at all. And I pretty much swore off. And the thing is, I'm not a Christie purist. I've read quite a lot of Agatha Christie novels and I enjoy them, but quite often, like, and don't hate me and don't like take away my mystery reader card, but like honestly quite often I think that the adaptions, the Miss Marple TV series and the David Suchet as Poirot series, as good as, if not better in some cases, than the Agatha Christie novels. I'm sorry, but they are, in my opinion. So it's not that I'm a super purist and I'm like, oh my god, you can't take this woman's characters. I just didn't like when it was done before. So this one though is Lucy Foley, and although I haven't read anything from her yet, I know she is the author of the book that I have on my shelves, which is a biopic of, or it's a biography of Agatha Christie herself. So I think Lucy Foley will have definitely done the work. She'll be very immersed in Agatha Christie's voice, in her world, in her way of telling a story. She obviously loves the author, and I think it will be as respectful as it can be. Plus, I really like the settings out of it. If it was a different setting, I don't think I would care that much. If it wasn't Agatha Christie, if it wasn't Miss Marple, I still think I would pick it up because I like the concept. So we're crossing everything and we're hoping for the best. High in the Swiss Alps, accessible only by a single winding railway, stands the luxurious Grand Alpine Hotel. With glorious mountain views and an exclusive access to powdery slopes, it draws guests from far and wide. The notorious actress, the high-flying politician, the society wife, the reckless friend, the shrewd doctor. But not everyone is here for a winter holiday. Beneath the champagne and furs, dark histories simmer, old grudges emerge like cracks in the ice, and someone is watching from the shadows. A polite, unassuming woman with an extraordinary mind. Miss Marple. When a body is found and a blizzard cuts off all escape, only Miss Marple can connect the clues before the killer strikes again. Because it isn't a question of who has motive, but who's next. And now I have a batch, like 6 books here for you, that all come out on the 29th. The last 2 days of September are absolutely stacked with new releases that I'm interested in, but at least them being at the end of the month means that I'll have the chance to like hopefully clear my TBR before these come out and get added to it. The first is Baldur's Gate 3 Astarion by T. Kingfisher. Have I ever played Baldur's Gate 3 or Baldur's Gate anything? No. Do I know anything about how it works? Do I know anything about the characters? No. I have, I think, seen the blonde guy before, maybe on like Tumblr or something in fan art. Do I know anything about how this world works? Do I know anything about the game works? Do I know anything? No, and no. But will I read pretty much anything T. Kingfisher puts out? Yes, I will. The roguish charlatan Astarion, we're assuming that's how that's pronounced, will free himself from a centuries-long fate of servitude or die, a second time, trying, in this decadently dark fantasy adventure by award-winning author T. Kingfisher. So they're not drowning us with information, but I don't really need any more. The cover's nice. I like the cover, and I think if I knew more about the character, I would be super stoked. All I know about Baldur's Gate is it's a game. I literally couldn't tell you whether it was a shoot 'em up or a fantasy football league. But it's Kingfisher. It says it's dark fantasy. The idea of the centuries of servitude thing could be fun, and I'll be here for it. Another IP that is kind of releasing into the world again is Galinda, A Charmed Childhood by Gregory Maguire. I have read the original Wicked novel. I've said this in so many vlogs. I read the original Wicked novel back about 20 years ago, and honestly I despised it. I, however, adore the musical and have for the past 20 years. I really enjoyed both parts of the adaptation. First more so than the second, but really enjoyed them. No real critiques. I'm an older reader. I actually think I might get on better with Wicked the original novel now than I did when I originally read it. I love Galinda in the musical and in the movie, but the Galinda in the book is very, very different, and I really, really liked her. So I'm intrigued. But again, I know I didn't like Wicked. And honestly, I read Elfie, which was another novel prequel Maguire put out last year or the year before, and it was fine. But I just, as much as I always adore his concepts, Maguire's writing, somehow it doesn't click for me personally. So I don't know how I feel about this one. I got Elfie from the library, and honestly I think that's what I'm going to be doing with Galinda as well. The youngest of 4 children in a highborn family down on their luck, Galinda is both pampered and ignored. Her natural grace promises to elevate her in the district dance competitions, but these efforts distract her from seeing the growing resentment of local merchants who disapprove of her family's business strategies. Mired in the self-satisfactions and unnamed timidities of childhood, Galinda finds in herself neither canniness nor the need to cultivate it. However, as her father deftly pivots around the snares and the nets laid for him by his competitors, Galinda begins to dance towards a life that might lift her above her proud, if hard-scrabbled childhood. Galinda reveals the girl behind the bubbly, shallow cliché, offering fans of Wicked their first richer glimpse into the life of a beloved and iconic character. Then we have Camp Half-Blood, The Wild Zone by Riordan and Annabelle O. This is giving us a look at Camp Half-Blood in between Percy's legendary quests, seeing those background students and what they get up to while our heroes are off on mighty adventures, and I am all about that. I love Camp Half-Blood, I love Riordan's world. I'm really excited to genuinely read anything that comes out in it. I am waiting for the last in the new Percy Jackson trilogy to come out before I read the first 2, so I have been quite a long time away from this world, but I think this series, if it's going to be a series, would be a really fun way to get back into it. It's not going to have quite as much of a timeline issue and, you know, trying to remember the different characters and where they've been and what they're doing, how they relate to each other, so I think it could be a fun way to get back into it. It says in book 1, 5 newbie demigods dare to enter Camp Half-Blood's forbidden Wild Zone, unleashing ancient curses, bloodthirsty monsters, and a fight to survive. Katie Kim may be a newcomer to Camp Half-Blood, but even she knows they weren't supposed to be running through the Wild Zone. The forest is off limits to campers and staff. Why then did Clarice, head counsellor of the Ares clan, take her and 4 other newbies there in the dark of night and tell them to race back to camp by morning? Clarice's threat was scary enough, but when Katie's half-brother Grant goes missing, his disappearance sparks the arrival of vicious monsters and a mysterious curse. It's up to Katie and the 3 remaining newbies, the Wild Omada, to brave the Wild Zone again and uncover its dark and deadly secrets. Then I have a short story, or a novella. I'm not exactly sure where the line is there, but this is from Madeline Miller, author of Song of Achilles, Circe, and she has a previous Greek mythology short story, Galatea, which I really, really liked, so I think this is going to be along the same vibes. This is Mestra. It is 80 pages long, so I'm definitely going to read this. A cursed father, a gifted daughter. Mestra, daughter of the king of Thessaly, is granted a unique gift by Poseidon, the ability to transform into any being she can imagine. Her father, on the other hand, is cursed. As a punishment for disrespecting the goddess Demeter, he is in possession of an unnatural, insatiable hunger. Devoted Mestra suggests using her new gift to help her father. But if his hunger is bottomless, how much will he take from her? She must decide. Will she keep helping her father survive, or finally break free? There's not much there to go on, but it is a short story, so we probably don't want too much. I always enjoy Miller's way of writing Greek mythology. She's never really reinventing the wheel. She's never doing crazy things with it. This isn't, you know, Achilles in space or anything like that, but she just writes beautifully and gives you really nice insight into the characters. And then the last one I think everyone is going to know about. This is Unrivaled by Reid, the 7th and last book in the Heated Rivalry / Game Changers series. I have currently read the first 3 books in the Game Changers series. I still need to read 4, 5 and 6, but I am planning to do it. I do own the books, and I'm hoping maybe I might try and squeeze them in before this comes out, because I think there's going to be a lot of hype around it. I'd really like to, you know, feel like part of the team. Am I as excited as other people are? No, because I haven't came into Heated Rivalry as a long time fan. I loved the series. I've been hooked by the books, while also for each and every single book coming out of it and going, I don't know what she puts in these books, because objectively I don't think they're that great in terms of writing. But whether it's that she just has a grasp of character or chemistry or something, I come out of every one being like, yes, I would like the next one. 5 stars. While also going, I don't know what happened, and I don't know what parts I don't know what she's doing, but she's doing it very, very well. And I'm very excited to read Unrivaled. I'm excited. I think there's another Elia and Shane book before this one, so I'm excited to read up to and including Unrivaled. And I'm excited to see, I think as well, the kind of Game Changers fandom enjoying this release. A line has been drawn and the hockey world is divided. For the first time in their professional hockey careers, Ilya Rozanov and Shane Hollander have nothing to hide. For more than a decade they kept their love a secret, but now they're out, married and even playing on the same team. The support is incredible. Most of the time. They've gotten a lot of love from fans who are thrilled for them, but some people in the hockey world are still reeling from their relationship reveal, and the backlash, led by popular hockey podcast Top Shelf and the hashtag #TakeBackHockey movement, is getting louder. Ilya and Shane are finally able to stand together in the light, the way they've always wanted, and now they might be facing their biggest challenge yet. So, I mean, just in that summary, there's some spoilers for the books in between, but like, I think we all knew where that was going. I need to catch up and then read this one. So maybe there'll be a Game Changers vlog somewhere in the future. If you are interested in any of the books in this video, whether you knew about them beforehand or not, let me know. If there's any here that you think I'm being a little bit unjust, a little bit unfair with my qualms and worries, then feel free to either give me in trouble or reassure me. Let me know what you think. And if your most anticipated book for September isn't on the list, let me know that in the comments so that I can definitely check it out, because I always need more TBR books. If you got to this point but don't have anything in particular you want to say, then leave me some kind of sports emoji for that last Heated Rivalry book. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.